There is a sentence you are already repeating inside your own mind, whether you know it or not. It is short, it is quiet. It runs beneath every action, every decision, every reaction, every mood, and it is, more than any other single force in your life, the reason your outer world looks the way it does today. The question is not whether you have such a sentence. Everyone has one. The question is whether you have chosen it, or whether it has been chosen for you by the accumulated whispers of every fear, every disappointment, and every borrowed belief that ever entered your mind and stayed. Stay with me until the end of this message, because you are about to discover one of the most overlooked and yet most powerful teachings in all of Neville Goddard's work, the practice he called inner conversation. It is not affirmation, it is not visualization, it is something quieter, deeper, and infinitely more decisive. When you understand it, you will realize that a single sentence, chosen deliberately and spoken inwardly with feeling, can begin to rewrite the entire architecture of your outer life. One sentence. That is all it takes, but it must be the right one, and it must be your own. Most people believe that their inner conversation is a commentary on their life. They imagine that what they say to themselves is simply a running observation, a private response to what is happening around them. They see a bill and worry, but they believe the worry is because of the bill, not that the worry is helping to shape the next bill. They see a distance in a relationship and grieve, but they believe the grief is a reaction to the distance, not that the grief is helping to widen it. They see a body that aches and complain, but they believe the complaint is caused by the ache, not that the complaint is renewing it. So they let the inner conversation run unchecked, day after day, year after year, unaware that this quiet river of speech is not describing their life but authoring it. They comment on their fatigue, and the fatigue continues. They comment on their loneliness, and the loneliness continues. They comment on their difficulty, and the difficulty continues. They comment on the slowness of their progress, and the slowness continues. They cannot understand it. They believe they are being realistic. They believe they are simply observing what is true. They believe the inner speech has no consequence, that words spoken silently to no one cannot possibly reach into the world and shape it. But the inner speech does reach. It reaches into every fiber of your identity. It reaches into every choice you make and every choice you fail to make. It reaches into every atmosphere you carry, into every room. It reaches into every conversation before you speak a single word aloud. It reaches, above all, into the deep, quiet chamber of your subconscious mind, where it plants itself as a seed and grows into circumstance. The inner conversation is not observation. The inner conversation is creation. Here is what changes everything. Your outer life is a faithful printout of your inner speech, not the inner speech you announce on your best days, when you sit down to affirm or visualize with great effort. The inner speech of your ordinary hours, the inner speech of the morning shower, the inner speech of the drive to work, the inner speech of the quiet moments waiting in line, the inner speech that fills the small pauses between activities, when your attention drifts and your inner voice speaks freely because it does not think it is being watched. That speech is the true prayer of your life. That speech is the true declaration of who you believe yourself to be. That speech is what reality is listening to. And most of it, for most people, is a slow, sad, unexamined repetition of the same tired themes. Themes of not enough. Themes of it never quite works out. Themes of maybe one day. Themes of if only. Themes of nothing ever changes. Themes of I am the kind of person for whom things are hard. Each time the theme is repeated inwardly, it is confirmed. Each time it is confirmed, the world receives its instruction to continue delivering the reality that matches it. This is not punishment. This is not judgment. This is simply how the operative law of consciousness works. You have been given a creative faculty of extraordinary power, and it operates whether you use it deliberately or not. The inner speech is the pen. Your life is the paper. And the paper receives whatever the pen has been writing without protest. So the practice is this. Choose your sentence. Not many sentences. Not a long list. Not a paragraph of affirmations. One sentence. One decisive, personal, deeply true declaration that captures the identity you are stepping into and the reality you are claiming as already yours. And begin quietly, patiently, persistently, to let that sentence become the underground music of your inner life. This is not a technique of the mouth. This is a technique of the soul. Consider a tuning fork. When a tuning fork is struck, it does not shout. It does not announce itself. It simply hums at a specific frequency. And yet, if another tuning fork of the same pitch is nearby, that second fork will begin to hum on its own, without being touched, drawn into vibration by the first. The universe of sound around it responds to what it is quietly declaring. Your inner sentence is a tuning fork. You do not need to shout it. You do not need to force it. You only need to strike it and let it hum. And the world around you, being nothing more than a great field of resonances waiting for a signal, will begin to hum in reply. Circumstances, people, opportunities, all of them contain their own frequencies, and they respond to the note you are steadily sounding within. Or consider a river. A river does not deliberate about where to flow. It follows the channel that has already been cut into the land. If the channel bends to the east, the water bends to the east. If the channel has been deepened by centuries of use, the water pours faithfully into that depth without hesitation. Your inner speech is the channel. Reality is the water. And the water will always follow the channel you have most consistently cut. If you wish the water to flow into a new place, you do not argue with the water. You cut a new channel. Quietly, deliberately. Each day, with a single chosen sentence, you deepen the new groove. And in time, when the channel is deep enough, the water begins to move into it. At first as a trickle, then as a stream, then as the full and inevitable current of your life. Or consider a scribe writing in a great book. Each page of your life is written by inner speech. If the scribe writes, "This is a person who never quite makes it," the page is filled with that story, and the events of the day arrange themselves accordingly. If the scribe writes, "This is a person for whom everything is arranging itself now," the page fills with that story instead, and the events of the day begin to arrange themselves around the new sentence. The scribe is not your circumstance. The scribe is you. And the pen in your hand is the sentence you have chosen to repeat inwardly. Choose the sentence carefully. It is writing your tomorrow. Or consider the master key. A single key can open every door in a large estate if it has been cut correctly. The one who possesses the master key does not need to fumble with 100 smaller keys, trying one after the other in each lock. He walks the corridors freely, knowing that the one key in his pocket will open whatever needs to be opened. The right inner sentence is the master key. You do not need 100 affirmations. You do not need a stack of techniques. You need one deep, true, well-cut sentence, and the corridors of your life will open before you. So how do you build such a sentence? Not by copying it from a book, not by borrowing it from another teacher, not by repeating something clever that sounds spiritual but carries no personal weight. The sentence must be yours. It must be the sentence that, when spoken inwardly, causes something quiet to settle within you. It must be the sentence that captures, in a few honest words, the state of being you are stepping into. For some, it is done. For others, I have received. For others, how wonderful the way things have turned out. For others, I am the one for whom life arranges itself. For others, thank you, thank you, thank you. There is no single correct wording. There is only the sentence that resonates for you, the sentence that carries the flavor of your fulfilled state, the sentence that ends the waiting and begins the possessing. Find your sentence. Sit quietly. Ask yourself, if the desire were already fulfilled, what would you naturally say to yourself upon waking? What sentence would live in your inner speech throughout the day? Not as a declaration to convince yourself, but as a quiet confirmation of what you already know to be true. That sentence is your master key. That sentence is your tuning fork. That sentence is the new channel you will cut into the river of your inner life. Once you have it, begin to place it wherever your attention naturally drifts. In the moment you wake, before the mind has begun its usual restlessness, whisper the sentence inwardly. While walking down a street, let it become the rhythm of your steps. While waiting for a kettle to boil, let it fill the silence. While driving, let it hum beneath the noise of the road. Before eating, before entering a room, before opening a message, let the sentence pass through your awareness like a quiet blessing. Above all, in the final moments before sleep, let the sentence be the last thing that occupies your consciousness. Not the words alone, the feeling of the sentence, the reality it declares, the quiet certainty of one who is stating a fact, not making a wish. This is the trick. This is the entire practice. A single sentence, planted in the fertile soil of a mind that has agreed to stop rehearsing the old themes, becomes over time a whole life. Now notice what changes as you do this. At first, the sentence feels strange. The old inner speech has been running for so long that any new phrase sounds foreign, artificial, almost like an intrusion. The mind may protest. It may say, "You do not believe this. You are just saying words. Look at the evidence around you." Do not be discouraged. This protest is normal. It is the sound of the old channel resisting the cutting of the new one. Continue anyway. Continue gently. Continue patiently. The sentence does not have to overpower the protest. It only has to persist beneath it, day after day, until the protest quiets and the sentence becomes the natural song of your inner life. And then something wonderful begins to happen. The old inner speech, without any dramatic battle, begins to fade. It grows tired. It grows quiet. It runs out of energy because it is no longer being fed. Meanwhile, the new sentence deepens, sinks its roots into the subconscious mind, and begins to shape the atmosphere of your entire being. You begin to walk differently, because the sentence walks with you. You begin to react differently, because the sentence has quietly rewritten the assumptions from which your reactions arise. You begin to see differently, because the sentence has changed the quality of the attention with which you look at the world. And the world, being faithful in its mirroring, begins to change. People begin to speak to you in ways that echo the sentence. Small events begin to align with the sentence. Circumstances that would once have upset you no longer have the same grip because the sentence has established a deeper current than any surface disturbance can disrupt. You do not need to announce the sentence to anyone. You do not need to explain it. You do not need to defend it. It lives inside you, humming quietly, and its work is done in silence. This is why Neville Goddard placed such extraordinary emphasis on the inner conversation. He knew that most people focused on the outward performances of manifestation, the visualization sessions, the written affirmations, the elaborate rituals, while remaining unaware of the vast underground river of unconscious inner speech that was undoing all of it. The visualization session lasts 15 minutes. The inner conversation lasts 23 hours and 45 minutes. Which do you suppose has the greater influence upon your life? The one who wishes to change his outer world must therefore turn his attention to the inner speech. He must catch himself in the middle of the day and ask, what sentence am I repeating right now? What am I quietly telling myself is true? And if the answer is not the sentence he has chosen, he must gently return, again and again, to the chosen one. This is not a struggle. This is a practice. Just as a musician returns to the note whenever his attention wanders, just as a monk returns to the breath whenever his focus drifts, just as a swimmer returns to the stroke whenever the rhythm breaks, so you return to the sentence, without judgment, without frustration, without abandoning the practice at the first sign that it has been forgotten. The return is the practice. Every return strengthens the channel. And here is a deeper truth. The sentence is not a request. The sentence is not an appeal. The sentence is a statement of the state you have chosen to inhabit. It is spoken as one who knows, not as one who hopes. There is a great difference between the whisper of the beggar and the quiet declaration of the sovereign. The beggar hopes his words will be granted. The sovereign speaks his words because they describe what already is. Your sentence must be spoken in the tone of the sovereign, not loudly, not aggressively, simply with the calm, unhurried authority of one who is not making a request, but stating a fact. So as we come to the end of this message, take with you this single practice. Choose your sentence. Choose it today. Do not overthink it. Do not wait until you have found the perfect wording, because the perfect wording will emerge as you begin. Sit quietly for a few minutes and ask yourself what one sentence you would most want to be the underground music of your inner life. And when the sentence comes, honor it. Let it become yours. Then begin to plant it. Plant it in the first moment of waking, before the old inner speech has a chance to begin. Plant it in the quiet spaces of the day, whenever your attention drifts. Plant it in the last moment before sleep, when the deep soil of the subconscious is most receptive. When the old inner speech rises and offers you its familiar themes, do not fight it. Simply do not agree with it. Let it pass and return quietly to the sentence. When the visible world offers you appearances that seem to contradict the sentence, do not argue with the world. The world is the last to receive the news. The sentence is the news. Trust that the world is catching up, even when it does not yet show it. When fear whispers that this is too simple, that no single sentence could possibly rewrite an entire life, answer fear with stillness. The old inner speech will always try to protect itself, but you are no longer obligated to host it. Walk through your day carrying the sentence. Sleep with the sentence. Wake with the sentence. And in time, sooner than you expect, you will begin to notice that your outer life has quietly rearranged itself around the sentence you chose. The circumstances will have changed. The atmosphere of your days will carry a new quality. The people around you will treat you as one for whom the sentence is true, because you have become one for whom the sentence is true. One sentence, that is all. One sentence, chosen deliberately, repeated inwardly with feeling, held with the calm certainty of one who states a fact. It is enough to rewrite everything. Choose your sentence. Speak it inwardly, let it hum, and watch patiently as your entire life bends toward the note you have chosen to sound. Strategized content expansion through examples and reinforcement concepts. Strategized content expansion through examples and reinforcement concepts. The word count came in at 2,852 below target. Let me extend to hit the range. Additional passage to be inserted. Adding to reach target. Insert. After the section about the visualization session lasts 15 minutes. There is one more thing to notice about the inner sentence, and it may be the most important thing of all. The sentence works most powerfully in the moments you would least expect. Not in the calm hours of meditation, not in the quiet corners of the morning practice, but in the moments of small friction, the difficult email that arrives, the traffic that will not move, the delay that threatens to become an inconvenience, the news that shakes the mood of the day. These are the moments when the old inner speech comes rushing back with all its familiar force, ready to seize the opening and reinstall itself. These are the moments when the sentence must be spoken, not as a defense, not as a shield against reality, but as a quiet remembering of who you are and what you have chosen to declare. When you can meet the small frictions of the day with the sentence, gently returning to it even as the mind protests, you begin to rewire the very foundation of your inner life. The old self needed drama to feel real. The new self, held by the sentence, no longer requires the drama. And you will notice, as this becomes natural, that the small frictions themselves begin to occur less often, not because the world has changed, but because the sentence has quietly changed the atmosphere you carry into every room, every conversation, every corner of the day. What used to catch on you no longer finds a place to catch. What used to disturb you no longer disturbs. You have become the still center around which the day arranges itself. There is also a second layer to this practice that most students never reach. Once the sentence has become natural, once it lives in you without effort, you begin to notice that it is no longer really a sentence at all. It has become a feeling, a quality, a quiet flavor of being that you carry into every moment. The words fall away, and what remains is the state they were pointing to all along. This is the final destination of the practice. The sentence is not the goal. The sentence is the boat that carries you across the river to the state itself. Once the state has been reached, the boat may be left on the shore, but until then, the sentence is your daily practice, your master key, your tuning fork, your channel, your quiet pen, writing the pages of a life that is being rewritten, one whispered line at a time.